I want to show some of the progress I've made on a um, role-playing um, application I made. This is kind of all powered by GPT and lets you role-play sometime in history. Um, there's kind of 5 basic attributes that are part of the character creation: where you are, when you are born, where you were born, your family, and kind of your personality, and then of course gender here. And you can do this in any order, so you could choose a time or you could choose a, a place. You'll notice it starts out with a bunch of years here. These are actually pre-calculated. They are made by GPT, but there's really no there's nothing special at this moment that would indicate any other ones. And so we just pre-calculate these and then give kind of a random selection, kind of a sampling. It serves as both an example if you make more requests, um, or an option that you could choose. And then here you can just get new ones. Um, so I don't know, Persepolis, that sounds interesting. So we're going to do Persepolis. Now these are each chat interfaces, essentially. So here I've chosen Persepolis as the uh, birth location, and then it says, okay, they're going to be in Persepolis. So what are some interesting dates to do things in Persepolis? Um, do, do, do. I don't know. Try that one. Next one is a family kind of thing, and then there's also personality. Um, I'll probably pause this periodically because some of these queries do take a while to run. It's not the fastest thing. All right, that only took a moment longer. Here's some of the options it has: royal stalwarts, artisans, devotees. Um, say I'm still struggling to get like a good variety of these. It seems to kind of go on the same patterns each time. Then I'm gonna select male. So again, it's gonna take a little while to come back with some answers. All right, so here's some personality options. Uh, Being faithful, being kind of an outsider, um, being close. I don't know. Let's try outsider. That's always an interesting one. And finally, we'll have some names. All right, Bach. That sounds good. And now it's gonna grind through a bunch of kind of compiling this all into a more concise and expanded um, biography. So let it do that for a bit. Okay, and here is the finished biography. So you have basic parameters, some of the family history, um, I guess a theory I've had about how people might interact is that their conception of themselves and their impression of the world is an important part of how their lives progress. And then also there's these dates here, which are um, interesting dates to role play for various reasons, and will show up a little bit later. Um, and over here, these are all the queries that are making this up. So here's like a query to get those dates that I showed down here. In this case, it's using a function call, which is a way of getting kind of parsed JSON. And so here, this is the year when the Battle of this happened, and so on and so forth, going up until the future where ancient artifacts are discovered and such. Um, it is very conservative when it goes into the future. It has things like, yes, there's a time capsule that's unveiled. Um, it does not actually get very in science fiction. And I've tried playing this into the future. It doesn't work very well. All right, we're going to save this, and we'll go on to the actual game here. I'll load it up here. We get to choose what age we want to start playing. Let's try age 15. It's going to grind for a while here, and we'll let it do that. All right, so about a minute and a half past there. Some of the things that happened is it created kind of a biography. Um, all the events that happened up until your first role-playing time at the age of 15. Um, had a bit of a challenge here. It'll always put you through school, even though it's not necessarily right, and the age is not necessarily right. Um, because I said, people don't enter school until they're 5, and because it was often having people go to school at age 3, and now everyone goes to school when they're 5. You can't just say some of that without saying all of it. Um, but yeah, so we have some stuff that's happened. You've discovered ancient Persian texts at age 7. Very dramatic. It's a little bit over the top about what you do at different ages. Um, and this is after me trying to push it not to be so aggressive about things you do. Like, oh, at age 9, you're already having tensions with people. So yeah, there's these kinds of things, and now we also do some things to try to understand the um, society. This is particularly important when you're playing a female character, as it by default really has modern assumptions, and we need to like ask it to specifically say like what is actually going to be appropriate, what are the gender roles at this time, to try to get it to make sense of those. Um, and again, we want to have something where you're probably maybe having more autonomy, or living um, more exciting life, maybe than would be default, no matter what gender you are, but definitely if you're, but at the same time, you don't want to like pretend that society would be cool with everything, um, that it might not be at that time. Or maybe it is. And so we really just try to have it spoken out here, as well as then some places, and these are just to help this other stuff happen, kind of in a more structured way. So here are some of the scenarios that we could play out. We over here, people exploiting the lower class, uh, forbidden love, drought and famine, betrayal. Um, this is something that's definitely going to take some more work. If you play this a few times, you'll find a secret meeting and a betrayal are always present. um, and not then these don't always have like the best, um, easiest way to play through these. Uh, like it's not always clear what you would do to play through some of these things. Um, so I'm going to try Forbidden Love, and we'll let it do some scenario setup first. Okay, so here is the scenario. Um, this is kind of the interaction portion where we would discuss things. We can see some of the data here about it, um, you know, when it's happening. Some of these things like why is this a pivotal movement is something we ask GPT. We don't necessarily use it, but it's part of asking questions is a way to influence some of the later things. And so we want this to be a meaningful thing. And so by asking why is it meaningful, it will then make some of the later details more meaningful. Um, and here, let's see, we're in a marketplace. There's Babak, and then here's the other character, Layla, um, and another one. Are these? So we have some obstacles. Oh, this is a good character list. Sometimes it has very abstract characters or um, overly limited characters, and then this is more of a dynamic. Like here's what's going on right now. All right. So here we are. Forbidden love. I'm wandering through the bustling marketplace. It's getting a little mixed up here. It shouldn't be doing this. Yeah, okay. I'm going to reset and try that again. So here we see, usually this does not happen, but sometimes it gets something about the way this all fits together makes it think that this is an appropriate way to respond. So this is not meant to be like a competitive um, game exactly. It's not, it's up to you to shape these. And one of the things you can do to shape them is you can give instructions directly to GPT. So this is what I say, and you can see it in the prompt up here actually. See, there's my little prompt here, and then it says, oh, and now next. By the way, here's my instructions for you, and you're supposed to. Um, these instructions are, yeah. And then you should respond, and for some reason it doesn't really understand what's going on there. So I can do this, and it will put this right at the bottom. So yeah, no, here we go, Layla. Okay, got it back on track. Oh, even though I spelled it wrong, it doesn't mind. So the goal here is not so much like beat the game or win. You see this here, it's kind of gone off track and it's still not. Uh, here's these other people who should be able to jump in at some point too. Yeah, it isn't to win, but it's to, I don't know, explore things and later to say what this means about the character. I can do an action here. Right, so I'm going to try to follow her or something again. This is all just being modeled as a role-playing dialogue, not as um, there's no stats or anything like that. All right, Layla's on board. So we can go along like this. One unimplemented thing here is this ending condition. The idea being like there's some sort of conclusion, and maybe GPT would naturally decide when the conclusion happened, and then it would stop this. And all right, so I'll play a little bit of this, or we can say, I don't know, show some of the fact that you can also um, skip ahead easily with a dialogue. Like this is not, um, it's very easy to trick the system in doing what you want it to do. The idea being that you're only tricking yourself or something. Um, so I'll let this reply and try a few more things like. Okay, I suggested we should just let ourselves fall in love. Um, she says, "Oh, I understand the depth of our connection, but we can't ignore consequences." Of course, there's no depth. We've only spoken 3 words to each other, but you know, very Romeo and Juliet. Um, and then, oh, Baramzada say enters, who I believe is maybe her father. Uh, is very angry. And here we see an introduction to him. I don't know. Now I'm gonna just maybe I'll mess around with it a little bit. Um, I don't know what Zoroastrian teachings say, but we'll say and GPT is very easy to gaslight, so there's high risk of the fact that I'm actually misstating things and it will go along with them. See here, like this is very disarming because I said that, and now he's like, oh, and I have to go along with this sort of stuff. Um, all right. So you see, like it has these very kind of modern, like, no, it's all kind of cool. I actually think we're both Zoroastrian, so I don't know why we are of different faiths. I think something in the role play setup indicated that, and now it's canon to this. Um, all right, I think this is a good ending point. So I'll let this play out a little bit. All right, and I'm gonna finish the scene here, and it's gonna start doing some analysis and revising the biography, right? So it's gonna take the biography and say, well, first it's gonna analyze the transcript and using the analysis. So here we can see some of the analysis about what happens, how it changes his perspective on the world, if any talents are displayed. It should have something, yeah, and then kind of skip that last part, but then it revised the biography and now it's ready for the next step. So here's my life so far. These are all the things we saw before. Age 15. There we go. And now, I don't know, we'll say age 21 will be the next one. I'll let it grind in the background. Okay, so here, it took about another minute and a half to do that, but we got some more biography here. So Babak and Layla meet in secret. Someone finds out about this whole stuff that's happening. I'm exiled from the community. The whole family. Oh my goodness. Um, During exile, I find solace in love, and they start to go to a new and distant city. Unfortunately, there's no actual way to change cities here. It'll keep them in Persepolis no matter what, which is something that removes the ability to have um, adventures and stuff, and probably is worth fixing. And now there's new things here. So trusted servant. So here's these, um, new scenarios, and so I would play through those at age 21, see what happens and how that defines my life then, and play some new scenarios after that, and so on, and potentially live out a complete life. There's no actual point at which you will die, so if I kept playing, I suppose it would just try to keep going until probably an error in the code happened. But yeah, so that's where it's at. A lot of work on making these kind of interactions fun and meaningful and keeping everything cohesive throughout this. But yeah, that's where it is at.